My mom skipped my wedding because my sister married first, so I thanked her in a viral speech and she went off the deep end. So, like the title says, my mom, Charlotte, who's 57, has flat out refused to come to my wedding. I'm Delilah, 27, and honestly, the reason she gave me is so ridiculous I still can't wrap my head around it. Apparently, because my sister Lily, she's 29, got married earlier this year, my mom thinks she can't possibly give any more attention to another daughter's wedding. She's actually worried that my wedding might somehow steal the spotlight from Lily's. I mean, what? Let me back up a bit so this makes more sense, because without context, it really sounds insane. The truth is, my sister has always been the golden child. The favorite. The one who could never do wrong, no matter what. That dynamic has been set in stone since we were kids, and I've spent my whole life watching it play out again and again. My mom has always held her up on this impossible pedestal, while I was stuck chasing approval that never really came. It's like my mom saw her through rose-colored glasses and looked at me with a magnifying glass. If Lily got a bad grade on a test, mom would just laugh it off, say she must have had a long day or was just distracted. But if I brought home a similar grade? Suddenly it was a whole thing. I'd get this long lecture about not applying myself and how I needed to do better. And it didn't stop at school stuff either. It stretched into everything: sports, clubs, even just making friends or celebrating something personal. No matter how hard I worked or what I accomplished, I was always standing in her shadow. I've bent over backwards trying to earn my mom's attention. I've studied my butt off, signed up for every activity I could think of, even tried mimicking Lily's interests just hoping I'd get a little sliver of the praise she always got. But it never mattered. I'd tell my mom about something I was excited about, and she'd either nod like she wasn't listening or change the subject completely. It felt like I was invisible unless she needed something from me. So when I got engaged, I was over the moon. For once, I thought maybe this would be the thing that finally made her look at me and feel proud. My fiancé and I had been together for 5 amazing years, and we were so excited to finally take that next step. We spent hours planning every little detail, wanting the day to be something that truly felt like us. I imagined my mom being happy for me, maybe even involved and supportive. But boy, was I wrong. The moment I told her our wedding date, instead of getting a big hug or a congratulations, the first thing she said was, "But your sister just got married this year, are you sure you want to do this now?" And let me tell you, that hit like a ton of bricks. I was hoping for excitement, maybe even tears of joy, not doubt and judgment. I tried to explain to her that we'd carefully picked a different time of year and that there was no overlap at all. I wasn't trying to compete or outshine anyone, this was about me and the man I love starting our life together. But she just couldn't see past this bizarre idea that 2 weddings in 1 year would somehow cancel each other out. Like what? It's not like I planned my wedding to steal the spotlight from my sister. People get married in the same year all the time, it's not some once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event. But in my mom's world, everything always circles around Lily. I've always been the afterthought. At first, I tried to let it go. I thought maybe she just needed time to adjust to the idea. I even offered to tone things down, have a smaller ceremony, keep it low-key, just so she'd feel more comfortable. I wanted her there. I really did. I was willing to meet her halfway just to have her be part of this milestone. But no matter what I said or how much I tried to ease her concerns, she stayed firm. Her excuse was always the same: she didn't want to split her focus between 2 weddings in 1 year because it would somehow take away from Lily's special day. And that just left me speechless. Lily already had her big moment. She had the dream wedding, the huge reception, the perfect venue, the gorgeous photos, everything. My mom was right there, front and center, glowing like she was the one getting married. She told everyone about every little detail, posted a million pictures online, and played hostess like it was her personal celebration. Now it's my turn, and suddenly my wedding is being treated like a threat? Like I'm trying to steal attention that, frankly, isn't even hers to guard? It hurt more than I can explain. I just wanted to celebrate my love, to start a new chapter with the person I adore. But instead, I was being made to feel like I was doing something wrong. Like my happiness was inconvenient. Despite how painful it was, I kept my focus on what mattered, me and my fiancé, and the people who genuinely cared about our happiness. We kept planning, putting love and care into every detail, and moving forward with our wedding day. But as the date crept closer, it became painfully obvious my mom wasn't going to budge. Her excuses about divided attention and not overshadowing Lily started to feel less like concerns and more like justifications for a decision she had already made. Instead of facing the truth that she just didn't want to be part of it, my mom stuck to her excuse about not wanting to take away from my sister's moment. After a few more back and forths, and I used the word conversations lightly because they were more like arguments, it became painfully obvious that she wasn't going to change her mind. She came right out and told me she wouldn't be attending my wedding. Said it was just too much for her emotionally. Claimed she didn't want to upset Lily or make her feel any less special. I was stunned. It's not like I asked her to pick sides. But by refusing to be there for me, she made it crystal clear where her loyalty really was. That was it for me. I stopped trying to please her. I couldn't keep contorting myself to justify her irrational decisions. Her excuses were absurd, and I wasn't going to let them ruin what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life. This was my wedding. Something I had been looking forward to for years. And I wasn't about to let my mom's refusal to support me suck all the joy out of it. So I decided, with a little mix of heartache and stubbornness, to move forward without her. My fiancé was my rock through it all. He stood by me without hesitation, and honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better partner to get through this mess with. He actually came up with an idea that I really appreciated. He suggested we write a short speech together for the reception. Nothing aggressive or bitter, just something that would acknowledge the situation with some grace. A way to address the elephant in the room without making the whole evening awkward. I loved the idea. So I ran with it. I poured my feelings into it, carefully, respectfully, but truthfully. I wanted to thank everyone who had shown up and supported us, but I also wanted to take a moment to acknowledge my mom, even though she didn't come. It wasn't easy to write something that balanced honesty without sounding angry or petty, but I did my best. It went something like this: I'd like to take a moment to thank someone who couldn't make it today, my mom. She's been hard at work ensuring my sister's wedding from earlier this year remains the most celebrated event in family history. I wouldn't want to risk overshadowing that, so I completely understand why she stayed home. I'm still grateful, though, for the life lessons. Like learning how to smile through being second best. It really helped prepare me for today. I thought the speech hit the right tone, honest, just a little pointed, but still composed. I didn't say it to be cruel or stir up drama. I just didn't want to pretend everything was okay when it clearly wasn't. This was my big day, and I felt like my emotions deserved space too. But I never expected what came next. People started talking about the speech. Then it started making the rounds online. And before I knew it, it had gone viral. I hadn't planned for that to happen, I was just trying to express my truth. But suddenly, relatives, co-workers, old classmates, everyone was weighing in. Some folks said I was brave to speak up. Others accused me of being immature or inappropriate for airing family drama at my own wedding. A few days later, my mom called, furious. She barely let me speak. She launched into this long tirade about how I disrespected her in front of everyone and humiliated her on purpose. It was like all her anger had been simmering for months and just came boiling over in that one call. She told me I embarrassed her, that I made her look like a bad mother. That part really stung. I tried to tell her that wasn't what I intended. I wasn't trying to attack her. I just wanted her to understand how deeply hurt I was that she chose not to be there. But she wasn't hearing any of it. The whole conversation was about how she looked, how she felt. Not once did she acknowledge how her absence affected me. It's such a conflicting feeling. On one hand, I feel guilty. She's still my mom, and I never set out to hurt her. I never thought standing up for myself would lead to this huge fallout. But on the other hand, there's this part of me that feels relieved. Like for once, people are finally seeing what I've been living through all my life. It's like the invisible fog I've been walking around in has been lifted. I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to act like everything's normal when it's not. The favoritism, the double standards, the constant emotional tug-of-war, it's all out in the open now. Of course, Lily took mom's side without hesitation. She thinks I overreacted. Said I should have just accepted that our mom couldn't emotionally handle both weddings in the same year. But how was I supposed to accept that? How was I supposed to be okay with my mom deciding I wasn't worth the effort simply because my wedding might somehow dull the glow of hers? I wasn't trying to steal attention. I wasn't asking for 2 weddings or anything grander than what my sister got. I just wanted my mom to show up for me, for once. To be there because she loves me, not because it was convenient or expected. It hurts that Lily doesn't see that. She keeps acting like this is about jealousy or rivalry when really, it's just about feeling seen, feeling valued. Wanting your parent to show up to a once-in-a-lifetime moment because they want to, not because they're keeping tabs on family rankings. So here I am married, yes, and incredibly happy with the man I love, but also dealing with a tidal wave of family drama. My mom still won't speak to me. Our relationship is shaky at best. It breaks my heart that something that should have been full of joy is turned into a spotlight for old wounds and broken patterns. Lily keeps telling me I was wrong for making a scene, and maybe from her perspective, I was. But I also have relatives and friends who've reached out to say they admire me for speaking up. They've told me they understand how hard it must have been and that they're proud of me for finally standing my ground. Their support has been one of the only bright spots through all this.
It reminds me I'm not crazy. It reminds me I'm not alone.
Some folks really had my back through all this. But of course, there were others who thought I had crossed a line by giving that speech. They argued that I should have kept the family drama behind closed doors, that my wedding wasn't the right place to call anything out.
And honestly, their reactions messed with my head a bit.
It made me start second-guessing myself, wondering if I could have handled things differently or if I made things worse by being so open.
It's been a lot to sit with.
I keep going back and forth between standing by what I said and wondering how people saw me because of it. I mean, I know how I felt: hurt, invisible, exhausted from years of being pushed aside, but it's tough balancing that truth with the pressure to keep up appearances.
Still, deep down, I don't regret it. Not one bit.
For the first time in my life, I finally spoke up for myself. I stopped letting my mom's favoritism decide how I felt about me. I'm not sorry for wanting my wedding day to be about me and my husband, and I'm definitely not sorry for speaking the truth about how much her absence hurt me. But now, I'm stuck in this weird in-between place. Part of me wants to reach out to her and try one more time to explain how much it all affected me.
The other part? It's tired. It feels like I've already said everything there is to say, and maybe that's enough. I don't know if she'll ever really get it, or if she even wants to. And I don't know how much more energy I have left to keep trying to make her see something she refuses to acknowledge. So here I am, married, yes, but also stuck in this sad, confusing place with a mom who's gone radio silent and a sister who thinks I'm the villain in this whole story. Even though I'm proud of the decision to move forward with the wedding and make that speech, I honestly have no idea where to go from here. Do I try and fix things? Or do I just accept that maybe this is how it's always going to be? Update 1. Alright, so here's the latest chapter in the never-ending chaos.
While I was off on my honeymoon, trying to enjoy some peaceful, romantic time with my new husband, my mom basically turned into a one-woman harassment campaign. She called me non-stop. I'm not even exaggerating, it got so bad that I ended up blocking her number just to get a break.
Can you imagine? Being on your honeymoon and having to dodge your own mother's angry calls?
I thought maybe she'd take the hint and cool off.
Nope. When we got home, our landline was flooded with voicemail after voicemail. I lost count.
Each message was more unhinged than the last, ranting about how I had humiliated her, destroyed her reputation, and basically made her the villain of the century. Listening to them felt like being screamed at through a wall.
Over and over again. I finally played a few, hoping she'd calm down. Spoiler alert, she hadn't.
In one message, she actually threatened to sue me.
Yep. My own mother. Said she was going to take me to court for defamation over my wedding speech.
I just stood there, phone in hand, blinking like I'd heard it wrong.
Once I got over the initial shock, I called her back. Tried to calmly explain that I wasn't the one who posted the video online.
I had no clue who shared it or how it spread, and honestly, I didn't care anymore. I just wanted her to know I didn't set her up or try to humiliate her. I told her I was simply being real about how I felt, and I wasn't going to apologize for being honest about her choosing not to show up on my wedding day. But of course, none of that mattered to her. She didn't care about how I felt, she was obsessed with how people saw her. All she talked about was how I'd made her look bad, how I had betrayed her by airing our dirty laundry. It wasn't about the damage done to our relationship, it was about her image. Her pride. And I started to get this sinking feeling that things might be headed even further downhill.
If she really was serious about suing me, what then? Would it blow up my relationship with my dad? My extended family? What would happen if she dragged all of this into court?
The idea made me sick to my stomach. Update 2. So, buckle up, because things somehow managed to get even more ridiculous. About a week after that awful phone call, I checked the mail and saw a letter with official-looking formatting.
My stomach dropped.
It was supposedly from a lawyer. My mom, it said, was suing me for defamation and asking for $5,000 in damages. I stood there in my kitchen, holding the paper, and for a second I genuinely couldn't breathe.
I mean, threatening to sue your daughter is one thing, but actually going through the motions? Filing a claim? That's another level of insanity.
The letter said that because she works in the service industry, she's a hairdresser, the speech had damaged her professional reputation. According to her, clients were canceling appointments and badmouthing her, and it was all my fault. She claimed I'd cost her income, emotional distress, and basically ruined her life with one speech. At first, I was scared. I mean really scared.
I started spiraling, imagining the worst. What if I had to go to court? What if I needed a lawyer?
I had visions of sitting in front of a judge while my mom glared at me across the room. The whole thing felt like a bad soap opera.
But then,
I started reading the letter a little more carefully.
That's when I realized something was off. Actually, a lot of things were off.
First of all, the letter was full of spelling errors. I don't mean one or two typos, I mean the whole thing looked like it was written by someone who had never used spellcheck in their life. Some sentences didn't even make sense. It read like a sloppy scam email. Then I looked at the contact info at the bottom and decided to call the number listed for the law firm just to see if it was even real. It rang. And rang. No voicemail. No receptionist. Nothing. I tried again at different times that day, still no answer. By now, my gut was telling me this whole thing was bogus. So I did what anyone would do, I googled the name of the lawyer and the firm listed at the top. I searched every variation I could think of. And guess what? Nothing. No law firm. No lawyer. No website. No address. No business records. Nada. That's when it finally hit me, this wasn't real. My mom had faked the whole thing. She actually went out of her way to create a fake lawsuit letter to scare me into apologizing. And honestly, she didn't even do a good job faking it. Once the shock wore off, I couldn't help but laugh at just how absurd the whole thing was. Like seriously, who does that? Who goes out of their way to create a fake legal document just to scare their own kid into silence? Once I realized the letter was a complete fabrication, the fear and stress I'd been carrying around all week started to fade. In its place came a weird cocktail of emotions, relief, definitely, but also a deep, burning anger. Relief because, thank God, I wasn't actually getting sued by my own mother. But the anger? That hit harder. Because what kind of parent pulls a stunt like that? I mean, sure, we've had our issues, but pretending to sue me? That crossed a serious line. I sat down with my husband and showed him the letter, walking him through all the red flags and how I figured it out. He was just as shocked as I was. We spent nearly an hour trying to make sense of why she'd go this far. His take? Maybe she was desperate, maybe she just didn't know how else to get my attention or punish me for speaking the truth in my wedding speech. And while he could be right, it still doesn't excuse it. What hurt most was that, instead of picking up the phone and having an actual conversation, she tried to manipulate me into silence. She wasn't interested in fixing things, just in controlling me. And I don't think that's something I can easily forgive or forget. Update 3. Hey everyone, so after that completely ridiculous fake lawsuit mess, I hit my breaking point. I spent a few days going back and forth, wondering if I should confront her or just let it go. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized I couldn't just pretend this never happened. She crossed a boundary, and sweeping it under the rug would have eaten away at me. So I made a decision. I drove over to her place. My hands were shaking the whole way, and part of me was bracing for the door to get slammed in my face. But I had to do it. I needed closure, some kind of confrontation so I could say what needed to be said. When she opened the door, she looked genuinely shocked to see me. The first thing she said was, "You should be speaking to my lawyer, not me." And the way she said it, so smug and self-righteous, honestly almost made me laugh. But I stayed calm. I looked her in the eye and told her point blank that I knew the letter was fake and that she could stop pretending. At first, she tried to gaslight me, acted totally clueless, saying she didn't know what I was talking about and that her lawyer would handle it. But I wasn't playing along. I laid it all out, the spelling mistakes, the non-existent law firm, the disconnected phone number. I told her she wasn't fooling anyone. I said, "Come on, Mom. Just be real for once." And then, she cracked. She sighed, looked away, and finally admitted it. "Fine, you caught me," she said. "But you left me no choice. What was I supposed to do after you embarrassed me in front of everyone?" That hit me hard. She really believed she was the one who'd been wronged. That somehow, I had forced her into faking a lawsuit against me. I told her that the internet doesn't just erase things, that even if the video came down, it was probably already shared a dozen times. I tried to explain that none of this was in my control anymore and that dragging it into a fake courtroom wasn't helping anyone. But instead of seeing reason, she doubled down. Started yelling about how I'd ruined her life, how I was selfish and attention-seeking, and how I'd always been jealous of my sister. She went on and on like I was some bitter kid throwing a tantrum instead of a grown woman asking for basic respect. It was so exhausting. I came there hoping for a breakthrough, a real conversation. Instead, I got the same tired blame game I'd been hearing my whole life. So I told her, as calmly as I could, that I wasn't sorry for the speech. That I had every right to speak from my heart at my own wedding. I told her she didn't have to like what I said, but after years of being overlooked, that was the only moment I had to say how I really felt. And I reminded her again, I wasn't the one who posted it, and I sure didn't expect it to go viral. But I wasn't going to carry the guilt for something that was rooted in her behavior. And then I said what I'd been holding in for weeks: unless she's ready to acknowledge the pain she's caused and actually apologize, I don't want to hear from her. No more guilt trips. No more fake drama. I told her I needed to protect my mental health, and if that meant cutting her off, at least for now, then so be it. Then I turned around and walked out. I'm still shaken up by everything that's happened. I honestly never imagined that my wedding would be the thing that finally broke everything open. But I'm also hopeful. Hopeful that now I can leave all that pain behind and focus on building something beautiful with my husband. And if you've made it this far, thank you. Thanks for listening, for letting me vent, and for helping me feel a little less alone in all of this.